It is a great day out there, and it's an important day, though. Today is a day, in my opinion, that this campaign really starts. Tonight's debate really gives the Trump-Pence ticket the momentum they need to take this country back for the people that count. I'm here to do a little introduction, and I'm very partial to governors, as you might know, but I'm especially partial to great governors. And I think the best thing that Donald Trump did in this campaign was pick Governor Mike Pence to be his running mate. Mike Pence is a Republican New Hampshire-style governor. He cut taxes, largest tax cut in Indiana's history. Not just taxes in general, but he was smart enough to cut the right taxes. He cut the taxes that create jobs, and what he has done in creating growth in Indiana is a model for what I think we would like to have done in New Hampshire again. And if we do the right thing in November, we will. Mike Pence focused on education, and what he has done for education has created a talent pool to fill the jobs that his growth program created. That is an unbelievable combination for a governor to achieve, and Mike Pence in Indiana showed governors across the country how to do it. So without much more, it's my pleasure to introduce a great governor, a great family man, a great American, a great friend, and a man who will be a great vice president of the United States, Governor Mike Pence.
Thank you to Governor. Thank you to Governor John Sununu. Thank you for your great leadership, your great example. Thank you to Senator Bob Smith, to Jennifer Horn. I have to tell you, I couldn't be more excited to be back in New Hampshire on a day when in Hofstra, at University of Hofstra, there is going to be a match that will make history in America. And it's great to be back in New Hampshire. We're excited. Tremendous momentum in this campaign. I know that New Hampshire is going to lead the way. Come November 8th, you're going to re-elect Senator Kelly Ayotte. You're going to elect Governor Chris Sununu. And New Hampshire's going to lead the way when we make Donald Trump the next president of the United States of America. You know, I was grateful for that introduction. I have admired Governor Sununu for many years, principled conservative that he is, and I appreciated the warm words, but he knows me well enough to know the introduction I prefer is a little bit shorter. I'm a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. And I got to tell you, I joined this campaign a couple months ago in a heartbeat with my wife, Karen Pence, at my side. We said yes. We said yes because you have nominated a man for president who never quits, who never backs down. He is a fighter. He is a winner. And until very recently, it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own. But now this party is coming together. This movement is coming together. And we are going to make Donald Trump the 45th president of the United States of America. And what a great night to be with all of you today. It's anybody else looking forward to tonight? I really am. 7.5 hours away from the first presidential debate. First presidential debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on the same stage. You know, when those two candidates take the stage for the first time in the same place, no more media filters, no more parson of words. The American people are going to be able to hear from two candidates, and they're going to hear about two futures for this country. Two candidates, one who literally pledges to keep Indiana. Indiana will be a part of it. One who literally pledges to keep America on a path that has weakened America's place in the world, stifled America's economy, walked away from our most cherished constitutional principles and our highest standards in public life. And then they're going to hear from my running mate tonight. They're going to hear broad-shouldered leadership that will make America strong again, make America safe again, and make America great again. And Donald Trump literally embodies the spirit of America. Strong, freedom-loving, independent, optimistic, and willing to fight for what he believes in, and he will fight for the American people every day, all the way to the White House, and every day as President of the United States. And I can't wait. I can't wait to be there. You know, people ask me all the time, what is it about Donald Trump? I just like to say, you know, Donald Trump just gets it, right? I mean, he's a doer in a game usually reserved for talkers. And when Donald Trump does his talking, he doesn't go tiptoeing around those thousands of rules of political correctness that the media puts in the way of men and women that want to make a difference for America. He says it like it is, from his mind and from his heart. And the American people hear him loud and clear, and they're going to send him all the way to the White House. And the people in New Hampshire know. People in New Hampshire know, just like we in Indiana know, Donald Trump has never forgotten. He's never forgotten the men and women who built this country. People that work with their hands, that grow the food, that build our roads and bridges, to tend to our sick and teach our kids. And Donald Trump will never forget or fail to stand by the men and women who wear the uniform of law enforcement on the thin blue line and protect our families. You know, it's a very challenging time to be in law enforcement today. It really is. We mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve in the loss of life in police action shootings in Tulsa and in Charlotte. We truly do. We know the American people of those communities deserve a full and thorough and transparent investigation. But let's be clear. We need leadership in this country that will stand by our law enforcement and know that we don't have to choose between accountability and standing with the men and women who put their lives on the line to protect our families. You know, as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America, I promise you, Donald Trump will support our law enforcement at every level. He'll make sure they have the resources community in every state in this nation. That's why I'm proud to say That's why I'm proud to say my running mate was endorsed by the largest police officers union in the United States of America. 330,000 strong. The FOP says Donald Trump should be our next president. You know, it really is amazing at the very time when America is crying out for something new and different. And the American people are longing for change. A change to a stronger and more prosperous America at home and abroad. The other party has answered with a stale agenda and the most predictable of names. The American people in both parties, frankly, are ready to break free from the old ways of doing things in Washington, D.C. But tonight on the stage, the American people will literally hear from someone who personifies the failed status quo in our nation's capital. So before we go over the choice in this election, let's just decide, New Hampshire, right here and right now, that Hillary Clinton will never be elected president of the United States of America. The choice is clear. The choice is clear. Despite it seems like their campaign on the other side has just been an avalanche of insults. But really, this election comes down to a choice on security, on prosperity, on the Supreme Court, and on ensuring that we have the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. On the front of security, despite traveling millions of miles as Secretary of State, it's accurate to say that the world is more dangerous today than the day that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton took over foreign policy of this country. Our allies are less secure, our enemies are more emboldened. 7.5 years of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's policies on the world stage have truly weakened America's place in the world. Terrorist attacks at home and abroad, heartbreaking scenes among our allies, attempted coups. You look at a map of the wider Middle East when this administration took office and a map of the wider Middle East today, it almost doesn't look like the same part of the world. You know, history teaches us that weakness arouses evil. And I would submit to you that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's foreign policy of leading from behind, moving red lines, feigning resets with Russia, the rise, rule, and reign of ISIS are a testament to this truth of history. We simply cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. America needs to be strong for the world to be safe. And Donald Trump will lead American policy with American strength on the world stage. I mean, Hillary Clinton's record on foreign affairs, her specific record on foreign affairs needs to be known. And I hope it comes out tonight in the debate. I mean, literally, it was Hillary Clinton who joined Barack Obama in a decision to withdraw all U.S. forces from Operation Iraqi Freedom. It literally created a vacuum in which ISIS was able to rise up out of the desert and overrun vast areas, hard won by the American soldier in Operation Iraqi Freedom. I traveled in and out of that region 10 different times when I was a member of Congress. I've stood at the graveside of Hoosiers who pay the ultimate sacrifice for those gains, and it grieves my heart to think of the way those hard-fought gains were squandered. The gratitude that we feel for those who've worn the uniform of the United States, we can never fully express. But would the men and women who are among us who have worn the uniform of our nation in recent years or in far past years, would you just mind raising your hand and allowing us to show our appreciation one more time? Thank you for your service. It was Hillary Clinton as well who initiated that disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran, $150 billion. And we got a handshake and only the illusory promise of delays in their nuclear ambitions. And it was Hillary Clinton and her State Department who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi 4 years ago. There's a movie called 13 Hours, and a lot of people think that we sent help after 13 hours. Actually, Hillary Clinton's State Department never sent help. And after 4 Americans fell, she actually told the parents of the fallen that it had to do with a video that was created in Florida, as opposed to an organized terrorist attack that they reflected on in emails that very night it was taking place. When she was questioned about it before a Senate committee, Hillary Clinton simply said, "What difference at this point does it make?" You know, as the proud father of a United States Marine, let me say this from my heart. Anyone who said that, anyone who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States. And here at home, we've seen the inspiration of terrorist organizations threatening American lives and taking American lives. Just in this last week alone, New Jersey and New York, domestic terrorism, and in Minnesota, a knife-wielding terrorist injuring 9. Fortunately, in Minnesota, an off-duty police officer had a firearm at his side, and he took that assailant down. And we commend him for it. But you see the attitudes that they have about the war on terror in the aftermath of that. Despite the fact that 13 killed at Fort Hood, 264 wounded and 5 dead at the Boston Marathon, 49 killed in Orlando, San Bernardino, 14 killed. This administration and Hillary Clinton continued to do their best to minimize the threat to our country. The White House actually said we were in a, quote, narrative fight and in the midst of a narrative battle. And Hillary Clinton herself actually accused my running mate, because he's taken a strong stand and spoken out for the security of the American people, of, quote, giving comfort to our adversaries. Did you see that? Well, Hillary, strength does not give comfort to the adversaries of the United States of America. Weakness does. And that weakness ends the day that Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America. I promise you, Donald Trump and I know America needs to be strong for the world to be safe. And as President of the United States, Donald Trump will rebuild our military. He will restore the arsenal of democracy. He will give our military the leadership and the support they need to hunt down those who threaten our freedom and destroy ISIS at its source. That strong leadership for national security is probably why I'm proud to say more than 160 retired U.S. generals and admirals have endorsed Donald Trump to be the next Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States. Under President Donald Trump, we will stand by our allies, we will stand up to our enemies, and we will make America safe again. But in New Hampshire, you know, it's not just about security, it's about prosperity. We are in the midst of the weakest economic recovery since the Great Depression. We have the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s, and millions more Americans today are living in poverty than the day that Barack Obama became president of the United States. Hillary Clinton's plan, more of the same. More taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare, more of the war on coal that's been stifling the American economy. The truth of the matter is that they tell us that this is the best that we can do. You hear that? That things are really good and it's just going to be that way for a while, right? That's the implicit message. Well, we here in New Hampshire and all over the country, we know this is nowhere near the best that we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we're going to use time-honored conservative principles to get this economy moving for every American. We're going to create jobs and opportunities that put America first. Donald Trump's got a plan. Donald Trump's got a plan that looks an awful lot like what Ronald Reagan did in the 1980s, and frankly, looks a lot like what John F. Kennedy did in the 1960s. We're going to lower marginal income tax rates across the board. We're going to cut taxes for working families, small businesses, and family farms. We're going to end death taxes once and for all, and we're going to lower business taxes so companies in New Hampshire can keep jobs here in New Hampshire instead of seeing them go overseas. And we're going to roll back red tape. The avalanche of red tape and regulation coming out of this administration has been stifling growth here in New Hampshire and all across America. On day one, Donald Trump is going to do what we did back in the Hoosier State. He's going to sign a moratorium on any new federal regulation, and he's going to repeal every single Barack Obama executive order that's been stifling jobs and growth in this economy. And Donald Trump recognizes that we've got to have trade policies in this country that expand our exports and imports. Exports support jobs here in New Hampshire. Imports support consumers. But we've got to ensure that when we negotiate with foreign countries that we put the American worker first. And Donald Trump is going to negotiate trade deals and renegotiate trade deals in a way that works for the American economy. And lastly, Donald Trump and I both know, that among the God-given blessings of this nation are our vast natural resources. And on day one of the Trump administration, we're going to end the war on coal once and for all. We're going to develop all the resources of our land with an all-of-the-above energy strategy. And we're going to stop stifling American economy and putting the burden on utility ratepayers. You know, those are time-honored principles, common sense principles that have worked before. It's probably the reason why today 305 economists from universities, think tanks, and businesses across America issued a statement endorsing Donald Trump's economic agenda and saying that Hillary Clinton's economic agenda is wrong for the United States of America. 305. Donald Trump and I also know that one of the things that's challenging our economy and frankly challenging our families here in New Hampshire is the crisis of illegal immigration, the crisis of open and porous borders in this country. The ability not only for illegal immigration to flow across the border, but the tragedy of human trafficking and, of course, the extraordinary flow of drugs into this country from our southern border impacts our families. I know we're feeling it in Indiana, you're feeling it here in New Hampshire. And let me just invite a round of applause for your good Senator Kelly Ayotte for her national leadership confronting the scourge of drug abuse and addiction in America. But for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of protecting the American worker, the citizens in this country and those who are here legally, for the sake of stemming the tide of illegal drugs flowing across our border, Donald Trump will build a wall. We will enforce the laws of this nation. We will establish the security of this nation for the citizens of this nation. It's border security. It's internal enforcement. And it's supporting those that do the work. That's why the union representing our border agents endorsed Donald Trump for President of the United States. And just today, for the first time ever in the history the Immigration and Custom Enforcement Officers Union in the United States of America, representing 5,000 federal immigration officers, endorsed Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States of America. With the right economic policies, I always like to say, you know, conservative principles work every time you try them, right? They've worked in Indiana, they'll work here in New Hampshire, and they're going to work when Donald Trump brings them to the White House, I promise you. We're going to get this economy moving again. Not by empowering more government, as Hillary Clinton pledges to do, with $1 trillion in tax increases, $1 trillion in more spending, more Obamacare, more regulation, more of the war on coal, but rather by empowering the American people to keep more of what they earn, to be able to save and to invest and to create jobs and opportunities for this generation and for our children and our children's children. Now, I will tell you, 305 economists, notwithstanding Hillary Clinton the other day, said that predictions about the growth that will happen in America when Donald Trump puts those principles into practice, Hillary Clinton said it was, quote, wildly unrealistic. She might just say that again tonight. Well, Donald Trump and I know the only thing wildly unrealistic is electing the same people with the same bad ideas and expecting a different result. Donald Trump is the change that America needs, and it's change that will result in a stronger and more prosperous nation. Now, there's one more issue I want to mention to you before I stop and say hello, and then I'm headed to Hofstra. You know, when I think about this administration, it seems like there's no aspect of our lives too small for this present administration to supervise. There's no provision of our Constitution too large for them to ignore. And as this election approaches, I hope you'll tell your neighbors and friends here in New Hampshire that we're electing a president for the next 4 years, but that president will likely set the course and direction of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years, and we better think hard about that. Better think hard about that. I mean, elect Hillary Clinton, you better get used to more unelected judges using unaccountable power to literally legislate from the bench. Elect Donald Trump, and you're going to have a president who will nominate strict, constructionist, conservative jurists in the tradition of the late and great Antonin Scalia, who will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America and all our God-given liberties enshrined there. So, for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of the sanctity of life, for the sake of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, and all of the liberties that we cherish in this great nation, we must ensure that the next president making appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States is President Donald Trump. So it's about security, it's about prosperity, it's about the highest court in the land and our liberties, but it's also about ensuring that we have the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. The avalanche of controversies and scandals flowing out of 30 years of the Clintons is almost too much to recount. Last week we even learned more immunity given by the FBI to close associates of Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. We found that even the President of the United States sent emails, as did the leading general at CENTCOM sent emails to her private server, which could have been subject to foreign powers exposing the secrets of this nation. It truly is amazing. The American people look at this business of foreign, and this is important to point out, foreign governments and foreign donors giving tens of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation at the very time that she was Secretary of State, and they were being granted access and appointments, more than half of her individual appointments during her 4 years as Secretary of State. You know, the American people are sick and tired of pay-to-play politics, and it's exactly the kind of politics that's going to come to an end the day that Donald Trump becomes President of the United States, I promise you. When Donald Trump becomes President of the United States, the days of the rigged system for the favored few in Washington, D.C. will come to a crashing end. He will uphold the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land, and his only special interest will be you, the American people, and he's going to fight for you every single day. You know, as I close, let me just challenge you as you leave here today. You know, the race is close here in New Hampshire. Some polls out today say it's tied nationally. We have tremendous momentum, more and more people every day. Despite the overwhelming bias in the national media, more and more people every day are joining this movement to make America great again. And I know you're the reason. It's because the American people are talking with one another. And so I want to challenge you with that. Whatever you've heard here today on security, on prosperity, on the Supreme Court, on high standards, ending the rigged system in Washington, D.C. for the favored few, go tell somebody. Go find a neighbor and a friend, even today, over a backyard fence, at your place of work, at your place of worship. Call a friend, email, tweet. Do what you can, but tell your neighbors and friends, because I will always believe that the voice that you have with someone who knows you and trusts you will always be infinitely more important than all the television commentators, all the front page headlines, all of the internet stories, all the broadcasts in the world. So I want you to leave here today. Tell somebody that Donald Trump has got to be the next president of the United States, and we can make America great again. Let's go tell him. And when you do, tell him one more thing. It's important that we talk about the choice, and I think that choice will be in high relief tonight. It's a choice not between two people as much as it's a choice between two futures. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but in my lifetime, sometimes I've seen politics as a choice between one person that'll have the state or the country go this much higher, and another one that'll just be about this much higher. Sometimes it feels like there's not a dime's worth of difference between the two sides. But this time's really different, isn't it? I mean, this is a choice between whether we're going to continue to go downhill with the same policies that have weakened America's place in the world, stifled America's economy, walked away from our most cherished constitutional principles and our highest standards in public life, or whether we're going to plant our feet, turn around, and march back up the hill to a stronger and freer America founded on our constitutional principles and the highest aspirations of the American people. That's the choice that we have. And that's what people will see tonight, is a choice between two futures. But I hope as you leave here today, you also leave with one last word. You know, there's so many things these days that seem to divide us, so few great purposes in this country that unite us as they once did. It seems like politics these days becomes one long process of division. One issue comes up and we've got to find this person and that person, and the American people are constantly being asked, which side are you on? Well, I want to tell you that Donald Trump and I believe in our heart of hearts that there will always be more that unites us in the United States of America than will ever divide the people of this nation, and we're going to focus on what unites us. And I think what unites us, Donald Trump and I share this conviction, is really faith. It's faith in the American dream. Because he and I, I know we've got different styles. So I've been told. He's kind of charismatic, bigger than life, very interesting. And then there's me. I get that. They say I balance the ticket, right? But really, as he and I have gotten to know each other over the last few months, we've found we've had things that we've shared. And mostly comes from the way we were raised. I mean, my grandfather immigrated to this country from Ireland when he was about my son's age. He went through Ellis Island, took a train to Chicago, Illinois, drove a bus for 40 years, and raised my mom and sister and brother there. Donald Trump's grandfather came to this country, and his dad was a self-made man who built a great business in Queens with his own hands. My dad married that Irishman's daughter, took her down to a little town in southern Indiana, bought a house with a cornfield in the backyard, and ran a gas station business. I mean, the family he grew up in and my family both built everything that matters, a family, a business, and a good name. Now, But Donald and I were both raised to believe, to whom much is given, much will be required. Okay? So for him, that meant the kid from Queens. And I just found out that former Governor Sununu grew up in Queens, about 7 miles away from the Trumps. Is that right? I like that neighborhood. But for the kid from Queens, it meant going to Manhattan Island and building extraordinary buildings to the skies and a nationwide business. For me, it was a calling into public service, because we both felt that we wanted to build on what we've been given, the privileges our families have been given. I love to tell people, I mean, other than a whole bunch of zeros, Donald Trump and I have a whole lot in common. And I mean, a lot of zeros. And it's this. It's faith in the American dream. It's a belief that in this country, what's really magical about America has always been magical since the days this nation was forged 240 some odd years ago, is that in America, it's about merit. That in America, anybody can be anybody if you work hard, study hard, and play by the rules. And I just want you, when you leave here today, to tell somebody, go out and tell them about the choice that'll be in high relief tonight on the policies and the background and the vision, but also tell them that in Donald Trump and his running mate, you have a team that is committed to bring the American dream back for every American, regardless of race or creed or color or gender, and we're going to fight to revive the American dream for all of our citizens in this country. And lastly, it's about Donald Trump and I recognizing, both of us, that it's about faith in the American people, and it's about faith in him who has ever guided this nation from its very founding, that we are now and shall ever draw our greatest strength from the recognition that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, men and women in New Hampshire, we have a choice to make. And this is a state that's used to having a lot on your shoulders. Every 4 years, sometimes I feel like I live in New Hampshire because of all the coverage you people get. And it's time for New Hampshire to lead the way again. If you want a president who will restore law and order to every community in the land and stand with law enforcement as they protect our families, if you want a president who will cut taxes, grow this economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel, if you want a president who will secure our borders, build a wall, enforce the laws of this nation for the security and the prosperity of our citizens and those who are here legally, and if you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, then I'm here to tell you, New Hampshire, that man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is ready. Let's go make sure New Hampshire is ready, and we will make Donald Trump the next president of the United States of America, and we will make America great again. Let's get to work. Thanks, everybody. God bless you.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and choosing us as your stream of choice. Tonight, don't forget, we start our coverage for the debates at 5 p.m., that's Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you go to our channel and set the notification. The page is already up where the debate is going to be. So make sure you go and tell everyone, social media, email, Skype, anything. And make sure that you share that link. We hope to see you there. And moderators, for that chat, no moderation whatsoever, please. You won't be able to keep up. It's just not worth it. Just sit back, enjoy, and it'll be like a troll-free day for that 1 hour. So again, moderators, just sit back, enjoy, and watch the debate. Don't worry about the chat. Let people talk shit or do whatever the hell they want just for today. Thank you very much. Hope to see you guys there.